I am IX-CHEL Ruiz. This is Andres Almire. And everything we are going to see in this session is going to be at that website.
Yep, so it's a, it's a Git repo. You can clone it. You can follow all the steps I will see today.
All you need to know about Griffon, documentation, download, everything, it's in griffonframework.org.
Can you go back to that previous slide?
Yeah, sure.
Didn't quite have enough time to write the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
I don't want to wait for the publishing.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, got it. Perfect. So, next one.
What are we going to do? Well, I told Andres that sometimes I come with crazy ideas, and I said to Andres, today we should try to do a collaboration suite, and it's really big. So we will try to do the prototype of the module, the contacts module.
When you say it's pretty big, is this supposed to take a lot of time?
It shouldn't, because it's a desktop application and we need it for yesterday.
Yeah, like always. Yeah,
So
okay.
it shouldn't take so much time.
Good. Well, it's a desktop application we're here because of Griffon, right? So the first thing that we want to do is download and install Griffon. And I guess some of you are already familiar with the framework. If not, then what we do is go to the website and go into the download link, just download the zip file, install it, configure some environment variables, and then we can check the installation by running the Griffon -- version command. Now, I of course already have it installed, but yep, yes. So there is the download link. There are different options for you. Just download the zip, RGC, RPM, DMG, you name it. Right? Once you do it, unpack it, then configure the environment variables. In this case, one of them has to be Griffon home, which points to the place where you unzip the package. And the second is that you have to add this variable and the bin directory to your path. It's right there, user local Griffon bin. Now this will enable the Griffon command, which is the one that we're going to use to verify that the installation is working correctly. And there we go. The latest version is 1.10, released a few days ago for Java 1. Now, if you ever encounter a problem with Griffon, and if we ask you, hey, can you tell us more about your environment? This is the command that you can use to tell us what you're running, which version, and all that. Okay, so well, already have Griffon installed,
Okay,
so what will be the next step?
Create application, I think.
Let's create an application, right. So that's easy as invoking the create app command, and we can pick a name for the application. I will gonna choose address book for this thing. So let's call it create app, address book. If anybody in the audience have previous experience with Grails, you will notice that the command line is quite familiar. Now, for the rest of the talk, we'll make use of a regular text editor, but it doesn't mean that Griffon doesn't have IDE support.
No?
There's excellent support in IDEA, a good support in NetBeans, and if you happen to use Eclipse, we don't have yet a plugin. But the Grails STS was open source a few months ago, and then we can use it to create the Griffon plugin for Eclipse. I'm not saying Eclipse is not good. Personally, I'm a BI guy.
So,
We'll see. So
yes, that's always the look. He works with BI.
Excellent.
yeah,
Yes, I know.
best editor ever. Works
Yeah,
every
sure.
platform. Okay. So we create the application. This will generate some directories following a standard convention. There we go.
Okay, I think that.
So let's change into address book.
Yes.
Okay. So there's the application right now. And there, I guess a little less.
Yes.
There we go. Some of the files that we can see there, very important. The Griffon app directory, where all the Griffon components are allocated by responsibility and by naming conventions. And yes, we will see some of these files as we go along. Now, for the rest of the talk, I'm going to switch to the Git repository that we already have prepared so we can switch from different steps. So I have that application already here at the other tab. You didn't see anything. Okay. So I have, again, the application in the pristine state. I can run the application because it actually works, though it will only show a plain frame with a label say, hey, put something here, put something amazing maybe.
But that's good. You create an application, and as soon as you create it, you can run it.
Yeah, that's right or bad. You can actually see that this thing is working.
That's
there we
important.
go. So, yay! Yes, we are making use of Swing today. I know that everybody has been hearing about JavaFX. There are options for using Griffon and JavaFX together. We decided to stick with Swing because we know there's a lot of pain creating Swing applications. And Swing applications will still be considering legacy mode for a few more years.
And that's not the only toolkit, is it?
It's not the only toolkit that Griffon supports. It's just JavaFX, Griffon, Swing, and SWT. There may be others coming in the future.
That's good.
Okay, so we have an application running.
Okay, so it's going to be the contacts. So I think we need a list of contacts and the information of every and each contact. So let's make a list.
So let's put a list where we put all the contacts and anything else?
Perhaps a form.
A form to visualize the details. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, we have to lay out components. And if you have previous experience working with Swing, you know that laying out components could be difficult. I think there's, who loves grid back layout here? I know Dana does. I think you're the only one.
I get paid to do it.
You get paid to it. Oh, there you go. Well, if you are not getting paid to use grid back layout, then do yourself a favor and use Meek layout, which is the one that we're going to use today. Once you have Meek layout installed, you can make use of it in the view. Views are one of the components that we can make use on in Griffon.
So I have to install Meek layout.
Yeah, but that's easy. Just install the plugin. We have a Meek layout plugin. Go directly to the command line. Install plugin Meek layout.
Okay, that's not.
You notice that thing? I'm running with a Swiss keyboard. Believe me, it's really hard to switch between one another. Okay, so once you do this, you have the Meek layout plugin installed, and then you're off to go. Now, I will going to change to the next step, which already has that install. Next step number 2. Okay, and let's see the application in all its glory.
So far nothing, it's just install Meek layout.
Yeah, we can see that Meek layout is right there. This is a meta file that shows us what are the versions of Griffon and the application that we will make use, and what are the different plugins that we have right now. So we only have 2, Meek layout and Swing. All right.
And the versions.
And the version, of course. So inside the Griffon app directory, there we see the different components segregated by responsibility. And we'll see first the view. So here I will select the view right there. And, that's Groovy code. I think, do you love Groovy? Yeah, I know I do. There are options for building Griffon applications with 100% Java. In case that you are not able to use Groovy, you are not allowed to use Groovy, you can use Java. Okay, so we will use Groovy because it's just faster. Now we have 3 components here. We have one on the left side, which is the list that will display the contacts. Then we have some placeholder in the middle where we will put the form, the contact details. And then lastly, on the right side, we will have some buttons that will run operations on these contacts. Now, why we install Meek layout? So we will be able to call this node here. This is a simple way to define what are the properties of the layout. And then the constraints, these are just the regular constraints coming from Meek layout. There's nothing new here. So I can run the application at this point. And we shall see a different view now.
Okay. At least the layout. So you talk about plugins. How much plugins?
How many plugins
How many plugins do you?
We have about 174 plugins for the moment. In the central repository, of course, other people have built their own plugins. They haven't published them to the central repo. We can talk about repositories. Anybody can publish its own repository. It's crazy. So there is the 3 elements. Here's the list. Is the form, which is at the moment empty, and some place where we put the buttons.
Great.
So baby steps. So what will be the next baby step then?
I need a menu bar.
You want to see a menu bar here on top?
I need it.
You need it. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's easy. So if we go back to the view, we just have to somehow define that a menu goes there.
Okay.
And I guess that if we put some menu items, we can also put some buttons there.
Actually, we need to define which actions are we going to perform with the contacts.
I guess the basic actions, create a new one, save an existing one, delete a contact, and probably print everything that is there.
Yes.
Okay, so 4 actions. So we have those things.
And I want those actions in the menu items.
And you want them as a menu
yes,
item. Okay, yeah, sure, no problem. That's easy. We just go to step 3. And there we see it. Hey!
He types so...
See, very fast. So creating a menu bar is just a matter of defining the proper nodes. And at the moment they are just empty. They will not react to any action whatsoever. And so the buttons as well. You can use any layout. I'm making use of Mic layout again just because I like it. It's much better than using grid in the moment. So let's run the application once more. Oh, by the way, if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to stop us and ask them. We will have hopefully time for questions at the end of the talk.
So that's the only code I had to add to create the menu bar?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, that's good.
And there we go. There's a menu with different actions, and there are the buttons. Of course, I click on them, nothing happens. And if I click this thing, nothing happens. Now, I can make these things react. Yes, question. You don't see it.
Oh.
But you can see that.
Okay. Something over there in the menu.
I can move around all the windows, but not the Mac OS menu bar. Sorry about that.
But believe me,
there's the button. Okay. I can change this thing quite easily if I go here.
No, okay. Yes.
And say, oh.
So we are going to react to...
let's change the last one because
yes.
This is how we will be able to see it. Action perform R. Okay. As a property, let's do a simple print line. This will be dump.
Okay.
I'll just call it hello.
Hello.
And we put the same thing here on the button.
Okay.
Well,
that's great.
Goodbye.
Well, let's
run it, see if it's actually...
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's run it first.
Yep. So you were saying?
I'm going to have a problem there. We have repetition. And I don't like repetition. And I think the button and the menu item should do the same thing.
Should do the same thing, okay.
The same action.
Let's see if it does. Yeah.
Goodbye.
It says, goodbye. And this one says, hello. Right? Perfect. So you say something about reusing the same actions. Well, fortunately,
avoid repetition. Yes.
Yeah. So Swing has an action abstraction, something that JavaFX doesn't have yet. But if you happen to use GroovyFX, then there is already an action abstraction there. So nice point for using Groovy. There will be later a talk on GroovyFX by the gentleman over there later in the day. Highly recommended. So we can make use of actions.
Yes.
And this time I'm going to introduce a second component, which is a controller. In the controller, you can define all your actions. And if you follow a naming convention, then these actions can be used automatically in the views. Okay. So
again, conventions. Conventions are really important.
Yep. Going to reset for the moment. Reset art. Because I'm going to undo whatever I did. Okay. So I want to change to the next step. Okay. And now we see something different in the view. We see these variables that follow some names and end in action. This is the naming convention. And these things are harvested from the controller, which is right here. notice that I can define actions in a controller either using closures, as we do in Grails 1.3, or as methods, the last one, which was also introduced in Grails 2.0. It so happens that we had this syntax since the early days. Okay, so we only need to do this, and then magic will happen.
Magic, I like that word.
Yeah, I love magic. Okay, there he goes.
Okay.
And there's the application once more.
So just the actions will print out new, save, delete.
Yeah, everything should be connected now. If I go again to dump, on the menu, it says dump. And if I click it here, also works.
Okay.
Yes. So,
I want now hotkeys or shortcuts because I sometimes don't like to use
the menu.
the mouse.
No problem. Because if we continue following the naming conventions, we can externalize the names of the actions, the accelerators, mnemonics, icons, tooltips. All of these things can be put into an external file. And it's right here. Messages. Well, there's nothing there at the moment. So I'm going to change to the next step. Wow. Now we have something there. Let's reduce it. Okay, so there's a naming convention that you need to follow. That is the full class name of the controller. Then action, this is a specific. Then the name of the action has to be uppercase. So we saw we had new, save, delete, and dump action methods. We just take the action prefix if it has it, and then put the first letter in capitals. And then we configure any of the properties. It could be the name, the accelerator, mnemonic, short icon, small icon, large icon, short description, long description. All these things are described as a matter of fact. It's a nice moment to introduce the Griffon guide. So the Griffon guide is available with every single Griffon distribution, so you can read it locally, or if you want to read it over the network, that's the address, griffoncodehouse.org, guide latest. And it contains pretty much everything you need to know about Griffon. How to build applications, what is the application lifecycle, and even information on the different commands, which let me make this thing a little bit shorter. Woo! What am I doing? There we go. There. So command line. If you want to know more information about the different commands, for example, there was the create app command. Well, this is what you can do. Right? Fully browsable. All right. So in there, you can see what are the different properties that we can set here.
Okay, so this will be my shortcuts.
Those will be your shortcuts. Let's run it again. Now, you notice that every time I need to restart the application whenever I make a change. This is something different from Grails, that while the application is running, you can make it. Problem is that once you realize an UI component, it's really hard to change it. But it so happens there is a JRebel plugin. Some of the changes that you do to controllers and models can be hot reloaded if you install the JRebel plugin.
Not the view, but...
Not the view, but just the business logic should be able to be reloaded.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so let's see the menu. There they are. So you can see the shortcuts there. And if I press Command D, should print out delete. Oh, I did something weird.
No, you're in the terminal, so go back to the application. Yeah.
There.
That's it.
Okay. Funky.
And you divided the shell, so...
There we go. Oh, Shift, Command, Delete undoes the action.
Yeah.
I just learned a new command.
For the shell. Well, the terminal.
So, yeah, now we have shortcuts.
Okay. You know, we speak Spanish. Try to speak German. So, try. Yes, I can.
Ich spreche keine Deutsch.
try. So, if I want to see everything in Spanish, German,
well, we already have these things that are externalized. So let's create a new file that will have the definitions in Spanish or the other languages, put in the right place, follow the naming conventions for setting all those things, and yeah, works.
okay, just a file.
Yeah, here's the file. So notice that the naming convention is pretty much the same one. But now for these particular actions, we want to override the default name. We will use the Spanish name. So new is nuevo, save, salvar. And we also change the accelerators so that they match what we have here. The German ones are also here. Neu, sichern, löschen, auflisten. See? We're trying.
He's improving.
So, and yeah, so we have changed. Oh, we also have mnemonics and accelerators over there. And one thing that you might remember from the UI is that each element had a title. And the titles also were in English. Now, in the Spanish version, here we can see the translations in German and the translations in Spanish.
So let's run it in Spanish.
Yeah, but I had to show how to make this thing, how to hook this up in the view.
Okay, yes, that's important.
Previously, we only had here contacts. But now, if we grab hold of a shared variable called app, we can resolve messages, and those are the messages that we have in those files. So we're looking for a key that is contacts.label, and we can find it here, contacts.label, that is contactos in Spanish. And if we do not define, well, there is contacts in English. So if I run the application in the, let's say, by specifying a system property, just for testing purposes, language, Spanish, we should see different labels now.
Otherwise, where you get it from the locale.
Otherwise, get it from the default locale, yes. I have my default locale set as English, even though I have a Swiss keyboard. So the menus are different?
No.
Yeah, I will do, but I cannot do it for the menus.
Yeah.
And then the titles are different.
Contacto.
And set buttons. So let's try the German one. Let's change that here.
Yes, we have to run a little bit. Let's go. Huh.
There we go. Now you notice here something special. We have umlauts in our file, and so we're missing something. Well, it turns out that these files can be processed with native to ASCII. So if you have characters that go beyond the ASCII range, then it's just a matter of over-encoding them, and it should work. Now, I have that already set on the next step.
So let's change steps.
So change to the next step. We were on step 6. All right.
So I think...
Well, I can show it is running.
Yes, please.
Again.
Okay, so the actions, the button actions, the menu bar, it's there. And we need to start with the application domain.
Yeah, so far we have concentrated on the view. Oh, it's still there. Funny, it might be somewhere in some other option. Well, here's the form now. Here's what we want to do now.
But why do I have name, last name, and address in English, not German?
That is because I didn't define a German translation for this thing. So if you do not define something, then the default way that the messages will be resolved by Griffon
To the default.
will go to the default, and English is the default. And we will see in the UI how we set these default messages in case something is not there. So you should never get empties or blanks.
Message or an exception.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
And here's the basic information for contact.
Okay.
So creating a contact is just a matter of creating a simple POJO, or in the case of Groovy, it's a simple POGO. Yeah, we like to jump.
Yeah.
So we show so far the Griffon app directory, where all of the components go by responsibilities, but you can have additional sources. Now these sources may not fall into any of the standard predefined components. What do you do with them? Well, you can put it inside source main. And inside source main, you can put Groovy files, Java files, anything goes there. So here's our contact pogo. It has some properties: the name, last name, address, company, email, and a fancy string method. And we also make use of an AST transformation. If you were on our previous talk on Monday on AST transformation, then you know that this transformation will generate an equals and a hash code method for you, which follows the right conventions. Okay?
Okay, that's good.
Perfect. So we'll use this thing plus the view here. Let's make it smaller. There we go. Now the center has more information. Now we can see another MIG layout. We see a for loop. We iterate on some of those properties, so we'll get name, last name, email, and blah, blah, blah. And for each one of them, we'll generate a key. So this is the key that should be available in the messages files. If it's found, then we'll grab the value. If it's not found, when we ask get message, this is the default value that we'll get. This is why we get English when we run in German. And what we're doing here is we're creating a label on one side and a text field on the other. And by the way, we will also making binding here, so that whenever we write to one of the model properties, which I should also introduce right now, this is the third component, the model. Whenever we change one of these properties, then the text field will reflect those changes as well. Now this class is also observable thanks to the AST transformation called bindable, which was also demoed on Monday. And this was the first AST transformation created ever. Okay, so I just ran it.
Yes. Please run it in Spanish.
Let's run it in Spanish. Okay, let's change that. And for this one in particular, I know we had translations for the labels. Right there.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Nice and tidy. I didn't define one for email in Spanish. I took it from English. And the English one is right here. If I don't define this thing, it will not have a dash on it because the property doesn't have a dash. That's the only reason. All right. So this takes care of internationalization and the basic domain, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So what's next?
What's next? Well, we need to create a list of contacts, and I need something useful and beautiful.
Okay. So list models. What's your experience with working with list models?
Good.
So, right?
Of course.
Of course, we can use ClassList, one of the best third-party libraries that exists out there we're working with. The other is MIG Layout.
So we have a plugin.
Yeah, you can see we are a little bit biased with things, just because we really love these things. So you can install ClassList, and you can do it in the same way as we did with MIG Layout if you know the plugin. Now,
I don't know the plugin. I need to see the list.
you don't know the plugins.
No.
Okay, well, it's easy. There's a command line tool that we can use to look for the plugins, but there's also a website where you can see all the different plugins and the information.
And he's very proud of that website.
Yeah, the website is a Grails application. It's open source. You can clone it, you can fork it, you can do anything, and that's exactly how you can run your own internal repositories in your own organization. If it's behind the firewall and you need to publish plugins to your different teammates, just download this thing, run it, and off you go. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. So first I'm going to show the command line tools that we have at our disposal. The first one is if you want to know what are the different repositories that you have access to, then the command is called repositories. No, yeah, you have to know.
Okay, yes, we have to know it.
So how many repositories do I have? I just have Griffon local.
We can add.
I know why.
Okay.
Okay.
The list of plugins.
Yep. So the list of plugins will be Griffon list plugins. I'm only querying to my local Griffon repository at the moment because I'm not relying on network. Then let's make this smaller.
Yes, really smaller.
Here we have a list of all the plugins that I have locally. That's the name, how many releases, some information about that. And the plugins that I currently have installed, Make Layout and Swing. Mm-hmm. So you said that we want to see glaze list.
Yes, yes. Let's see again the plugins. Okay.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Quite a few. So we can query glaze list, by doing plugin info, glaze list. Now, I can also add a version number to it, and it will give me under the details for that particular release. And for this one, that's the name, some default information, where I can find the source code for the plugin, what's the license for the plugin, that's also very important, mm-hmm. And who are the authors, so you can go and blame them. Yeah, in this case, it's me. If it doesn't work, then you know where to send emails. And we have just one version that should work with Griffon 095 and upwards. This is very important because when you see that a plugin doesn't work right with the version that you're currently using, then just check out that this is correct. Okay, the other option is to go to the website, which I have here. artifacts.griffon-framework.org. We can list all the plugins. You see 174 at the moment. And there they are, some of them. Here, glaze list. We click on it. And we have pretty much the same information, but we also have documentation on how to use this thing. One nice thing about this application is that it's social. So if you want to leave comments, please do so. If you want to see what are the authors up to, well, this guy has released lots of plugins.
Just a few.
And you can see his Twitter stream over there. So any author is free to do this thing. And what's also interesting is that if I were to be logged in,
I could subscribe.
Yes. Then let's go to glaze list again. So plugins, glaze list. Let's go to G, glaze list. I can receive notifications whenever a new release is posted. Or I can tag this thing if I want to, or even I can rate this thing, oh, this plugin sucks, or yeah, this plugin is awesome.
Okay, next.
Yeah. Okay, so this is how we do it.
Okay.
So we'll install glaze list and make use of it. I already have it prepared in my next step. There we go. So the changes in the UI are just making use of an event list model. Events lists in glaze lists are just observable lists like the ones we have in JavaFX. As a matter of fact, I would believe that observable lists in JavaFX were inspired by glaze lists. Don't quote me on that. And then on the model, we had to define this particular property, context. It's right there. Just add a context there. And we will add a default element there so that we know that, well, this thing is actually connected. So let's run the app. By the way, there are many ways to run the application. I can just type app. This is a shortcut. Or I can even do just A, which will be resolved to app. This is quite familiar to what we have in Gradle, which is the command target expansion. So let's do app. Yep.
Okay, so we should have the list, the form, the actions, everything beautiful.
So you want to finish the application right now?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, what a try. So there's there. That's it. There's something there, but if I click on it, nothing happens. So that's what you mean by connecting this thing?
Yes.
Okay, let's connect it. So if I select something here, I should see the values reflected on the form. If I change something on the form, then the value should be added here, right? Mm-hmm. So let's do that step by step. The next step will be to just react to selection changes. So this is just a standard Swing stuff. In the view, first we make sure that it's single selection, and then we register two listeners. Whenever we press the enter key, we will change the selection, or whenever we double click on an element, we also change the selection. We just change one property in the model. That's the interesting thing. We're just capturing what is the current selected index, and that's it. Then we go to the model, and there's that selected index property. And that funky annotation right there is another AST transformation. This is a way, or an easy way, to add or register a property chain listener. So this closure right here has that name, selection updater, will be transformed into a property chain listener. So whenever we change selection, if we have a selection, we grab the element and place all the values of that thing into all my properties, and because the text fields are bound, we push the values directly to the text fields.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's see that.
So really easy.
Yeah, we don't have to manually copy everything, we just relied on binding.
That's good.
Not as fancy as JavaFX binding because we're relying on property chain event, property chain listeners, but it's a good start. So there we go. Once more, I will press enter once I have a selection. And yeah, perfect. But if I change something here, well, nothing happens. We haven't connected things back, so we had to finish the actions.
Really?
Okay.
True.
Okay, let's do that. Okay. So let's change to the next step. And of course, we will be interacting with the UI in some way.
Yes, we have to implement then the actions. When I press new, save, delete.
So there are no changes to the view. It stays in the same way. No changes in the model. It stays in the same way as the previous step. The changes come in the controller, where we have the action definitions. Remember, we only had print lines before?
So no.
Now we should get the real meat of this thing. Okay, so creating a new one, what does it mean? It's clearing the selection.
Wow.
Yeah, automatically, because of the binding, then everything will be resolved and the text fields will be clear. Just what we need to do. But we're affecting the UI.
That's important.
What's the important thing that we have to take care of?
The golden rule. The golden rule.
Exactly. Which is, when you work with Swing, you have to take care of the event dispatch thread. Right. You have to create components in the event dispatch thread, and you have to read and write properties of the UI components inside the event dispatch thread, right? So that's exactly what we're doing here. Every method of every action in a controller is automatically executed outside of the event dispatch thread, because we assume that most of the times you will try to run long computations, right? But then you have to come back to the UI sometimes to update it, right? Yes. So the next thing is that the model is special. All the bindings that you have added to the model, if they will reflect changes to UI components, they will do it automatically inside the event dispatch thread. It's nothing that you need to do. For other classes like list, you have to update the event list inside the event dispatch thread. So that's why this method has a new AST transformation applied to it. We are instructing the Griffon compiler to not run this action automatically outside the event dispatch thread. It will run in the default thread, and the default thread is the one that published the event. If it's the button that pushes the event, it is the event dispatch thread. So nothing else needs to be done. Saving a new element is just a matter of grabbing the values that we have for the model, finding out if this is a new contact. If it's it, then it add it to the list, and if it's not, then we just update the values that we have. Deleting a new element, that's important.
Yeah, that's important.
That portion. Remember that the whole action is executed outside the event dispatch thread, but that little block over there, line 23 to line 27, that is executed inside the event dispatch thread using an asynchronous call that is akin to doing Swing utilities invoke later. Then the third action, delete. We clear the selection and remove the element if there is such selection. Again, we are just manipulating the UI. That's why we use it in the default thread. And the last one, if you can see it at the bottom, it just goes through the list of contacts and prints each one of them. Now this will rerun outside the event dispatch thread.
So we're going to have a responsive application.
Yes, for sure.
That's great.
Long gone are the days of ugly rectangles and unresponsive applications. Griffon will try to do its best to help you write well-behaving trading applications.
But still with freedom. If I want to skip.
Yeah, you have the choice. Just annotate things as you want them, and there you go. So I'll double click here. We know this thing used to work. Now I will change this. I will change my name as in the German pronunciation. I don't know why some people think that this is my name. So I will save it. Now you see over there, it's different. So let's create a new one. So that clears the selection. Let's add IX-CHEL. Same address.
Well, you tried the same address.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. Let's just leave it like that. Let's save it. And there it is. Well, it's because we didn't define any email here. Let's put it there. Swiss keyboard. The C and the Y keys are mixed.
Change.
And I've been working with the other keys. So yeah. Come on, brain.
Yahoo.
There we go. So let's save it again. This time we create a new one. We may have a bug. Yes, probably the selection wasn't updated correctly. Well, we can delete this one. Just make sure that it's selected and delete it. There we go. And if we print all the contacts that we have at the moment, yeah, only 2. Perfect. We have a bug.
Yes, we have to correct that.
So what do we do?
Go back to the actions.
Yeah, but...
Yes, we don't have much time.
No. But I mean, how can we find this thing?
Testing.
Yeah, testing. Testing is important.
Yes.
So
We
Griffon's...
really find the bug, but...
Yeah, we just found the bug today. So we will not fix it, but we have something prepared for you, which is Griffon will run tests for you, and it either runs it in unit mode or integration mode. We have one prepared for integration mode that makes use of JUnit. I guess all of you are familiar with JUnit. So here it is. Now this unit test will bootstrap the application up to a certain phase. I think I mentioned that Griffon, the Ivory application, has a lifecycle. So we will bootstrap the application up to the startup phase where all the MVC groups are being created, all our basic components are created, but we don't see any visuals. So up to this point, what we do is grab an instance of such MVC group, make sure that none of the values of the model or none of the properties on the model have something, so they should be empty. Then make a selection. This should update the values and make sure that the first element inside that list has the right value. At the end, finally, we just remove this particular MVC group. We just destroy it. So we are in a clean state. Let's run this thing. There's another command. It's called clear. Griffon test tab. And if I invoke it in this way, it will attempt to run all unit and integration tests. There's only one test at the moment, so it doesn't matter what I do. Just will run this one.
Okay.
Will that do?
Yes. First start.
4 stars. Perfect. So there we go. It runs. There's one integration test. It's screened and says open the reports.
Yeah.
Open target test reports HTML index. And there we see that it's actually green. It's okay. Perfect. Now, well, you can go and be merry and do JUnit tests, and that's it.
Okay, but I love Spock.
Okay. Anybody here has heard about Spock? A few. So tomorrow there's going to be another talk on the Groovy ecosystem where I delve a little bit deeper on Spock. What we'll see today is that Spock is a testing DSL. It's more than just a testing framework. It's more like a testing DSL. Let's change into the next step, which is step number 10.
We're almost there. We're
almost
there.
there. And there I can see a new file over here, address book controller spec. Now, Is there anything crazy about this code that jumps to your eyes? What about the method name? It is a string.
Yes, and a long, really long string.
And now these things are just block labels, but what Spock does is hijack the Groovy bytecode, actually tells the compiler, hey, you're no longer in charge, I'm in charge. So I will do crazy things with the bytecode, and by crazy things I mean really good things. And the code that you see here is pretty much the same code that we saw in the unit test case, but the way that this thing is laid out reads a much more better like it was behavior-driven development. I can run this test, only this one, if I instruct the test app command to just run the Spock tests. The guide has information how to run this thing, what are the different options for running tests and segregating and just running one of them. You can even run one single test method of a test case if you want to. So there it goes, runs a Spock test, and it's green. So we see the results, and there's our spec now. And see the method name? Much more descriptive. That's one of the advantages, and there are definitely more coming from Spock. Will this do?
Yes, so far, yes.
Okay, so where are we done?
Let's return to the application, please.
Here it is.
No, run it, please.
You want to run the application?
Yes, because I think I forgot something.
Okay, let's run the application.
Yes. Okay, last minute requirement. I need a confirm exit dialog.
Oh, don't we love last minute requirements? Let's be agile. So there's the application once more as we left it. And so if I mistakenly click on quit address book with my fat fingers, you just want to prevent that I don't have unsaved changes.
Yes.
Okay, that's easy. What we do is rely on the application lifecycle. And make sure that we react whenever the application is about to shut down. Well, if we do this thing in Swing, plain things will be to add a window listener, and then if we're good to go, right? What if you have multiple windows? You have to add the listener to every single window. Yes? Yeah. And you have to take care of that, manage windows, blah, blah, blah. We do it for you. Griffon has a window manager.
That's good.
But also has this life cycle, which is the one that I want to make use of. And if I go into the configuration directory, where I didn't say these things, but here's where we have all the configuration for all the different MVC groups, how we configure views and all that, and runtime configuration. But there's this new file called events.groovy. And this guy will react to the application lifecycle. So when the application bootstraps, it will trigger some events, and they were placed in a lightweight event bus. Anybody can listen to these events, and in this case, I'm just having a Groovy script. The convention is on, then the name of the event, and then just give it a closure with the right parameters. So what we're doing here is, as the application starts, I'm going to register another guy, which is a shutdown handler. So now, whenever the application is about to quit, it will ask this shutdown handler if it can shut down. Can shutdown should return true or false. If it's true, it continues. If it's false, abort the shutdown sequence. So we'll put a dialog there.
So we bet tools.
And that's precisely what we're doing there. Right?
Okay.
Perfect. So let's run it one more.
Any other event I can react?
Yeah, well, this is bootstrapping. If you go to the guide and see application overview, application lifecycle, there's information about the lifecycles, application events. There we see the different lifecycle events that you can react to. There are some other events that you can react to, and anybody else, any other component can publish events. Yes, the guide will tell you how to do this thing. So, okay, here it is. Let's put the application, and now let's quit it. Now we have this thing.
Okay.
We prevent unsaved changes from being discarded, right?
That's right.
Okay, yes.
Second thoughts.
We're done.
Okay, I think for the timing it's great, but testing and healthy codes are my main preoccupations. So let's talk about metrics.
Yeah, fortunately,
Code analysis.
yeah, it's easy to do test code metrics in Groovy because PMD, Cobertura, Finebox, Clover, all these tools work with Java, but they also work with Groovy. But there is one particular tool which will also be in the next talk, CodeNarc. This guy provides a static code analysis for Groovy code. It's hard, it's not difficult. If someone told you that it's impossible to do this kind of stuff for a dynamic language, he didn't know about CodeNarc. So I have it in this next step, the last step if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And what we'll see now is that there should be two new plugins there, CodeNarc and Code Coverage. This guy will do code metrics, and this guy will do the code coverage with Cobertura. So let's run all tests again. Test app with a new flag, and this flag is only available because we installed the code coverage plugin. If I really want to be sure, I can clean all previously existing files. So let's start afresh. This will run all tests, the Spock and the unit test. Okay. So there installs the plugins and runs the test. There is first test, unit. Second test, Spock. And there's Cobertura. It has created a new report. So let's open that. Target test reports Cobertura index.html, I believe. Yes. And there we have it. We have some green. We have some red. We have some red because we haven't really exercised the full application. We can see that the model is pretty much fully covered, even though there are two red lines there. The controller, well, is at 0. We didn't exercise the controller at all. But yeah. And CodeNarc. Let's see how healthy our code is. Installing the CodeNarc plugin adds a new command that we can call CodeNarc. This is, of course, described in the documentation of the plugin.
Yes. Go to the site.
Yeah, just go to the website and see what are the different options that you can tweak. Because we're using the default configuration, the default rules of CodeNarc. Then this creates another report, target test report, CodeNarc. Yeah. So we have 6 files. 3 of them have violations. One of them says, I'm not making use of this parameter on the method.
Shame on us.
And on the test cases, we are defining some variables but not making use of them.
Shame on us.
Shame on us. Okay. It's fine for the prototype because
yes.
we just finished in less than an hour. Now, here's another nice thing that we can do, is that we can ask the Griffon framework to tell us a little bit more about our application, how many files we have on and which types. 190 lines, 91 lines of code, 12 files, segregated in all those things. Nice. So, I guess is this it?
Yes.
This is it.
A very simple application in less than an hour with testing and metrics.
And some fancy lists and layouts.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is what we have for Swing. And I said earlier that we support different toolkits.
Yes.
If you want to create an application using JavaFX, it's just a matter of...
If you have any question, comments, let us know. If you don't, he will show you how.
Yeah, I can talk for hours. Yes, question.
Can you show me how to deploy the already finished with our code?
Oh,
so can I show you what? What's the question?
Deployment. How
do we deploy this thing? Yes, because right now we just play in the sandbox, isn't it? Easy.
That's a great question.
Yes. Say that we want to package this thing as a zip that can be distributed to Linux, or as a single jar, or in applet or WebStar mode. I didn't show you, but if you want to run the application in WebStar mode, just do this. If you want to run it as an applet, change the command. Now the default setting for the package command is to package the application in 4 ways. zip, single jar, applet, and web start. And we'll do it in production mode, which means it will sign the jars using a real certificate that you provide on all things, and also use pack 200 to compress. But because it takes too long, I'm going to specify that the command should run in the development environment so that it doesn't sign, and it should be faster. Now this is the same feature that you have in Grails, running the command in different environments.
So it's important. So for default, we have 4 different...
We have 4 different options, but there are more.
Yes, if that's not enough for you.
So while that's working, I'm going to show you again on the plugin portal. Let's go into I for installer. And this guy enables...
So this is another plugin that we can install right now.
This guy enables Universal Installer through EasyPack or Debian RPM if you're targeting Linux, or DMG targeting OS X, or even JSmooth if you're targeting Windows. That's just a Windows launcher.
Oh, that's another important thing. When we run the application here in Mac, in the dock, do you have it open? No.
No, there's a nice icon over there that you can barely see. So if you just call a package, you will have these things over there. Let's say zip. It's right there. The application is right there. So if I call it from the command line tool, that will be dist zip bin, and I see the name of the application is address book. Just execute it, and boom, it runs. Yep. Yeah, there's the icon right over there. Barely you can even notice. Of course, you can change this setting too. Now, does that answer your question? So you just start the installer plugin, you get more options as well. So if I want to create a JavaFX based application, then there are a few things I need to know.
You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, I have only 3 minutes, but yeah. So we also have something called archetypes that will let you bootstrap an application in a different way, because we only have created applications in a default way. The JavaFX archetype will allow you to create applications based on JavaFX. I don't know if I have it installed, but installing an archetype is as easy as install archetype JavaFX FX. And if you look to the portal, there's a tab here that says archetypes. It will list all the currently available archetypes that we have. And there's JavaFX.
I recommend Jumpstart. Take a look at that. You will love it.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, offline too. That's what I fear. Okay, let's change some settings here. I'm offline. Yes, offline mode. If you happen to work on a plane or a train, as I do, this is the option you want to set, offline mode. So then you won't query the network. Now I have network. I will install the JavaFX archetype because I didn't have it locally.
Hopefully we have network.
Oh no, we should. There we go. So install it. Now I can do the next thing. Griffon create app. Let's say cool, but I will specify the JavaFX archetype.
2 minutes left.
It resolves, creates app. There we go. Installs the GroovyFX project plugin. Install the JavaFX plugin. Then we change into the cool app.
Oh, no.
Yeah. There we have 2 different plugins there. And let's run it. G is my alias for Griffon, of course. And A resolves to app. So this is my way to saying Griffon is already GA. It's because the version of the JavaFX plugin I'm using. So, this is the snapshot I have. So I can do the following thing. Uninstall plugin JavaFX. I was running some tests with JDK 7 when I compiled this version of the 08 snapshot version. But Dean released JavaFX recently. So let's do install. And I want to do it from the central repository because I know that's where it's at, Griffon Central. Just to make sure I could actually say latest version, but this should pull version 08. Yes, there you go. Downloads from the network, installs, resolves latest versions, and let's run it again.
Okay. Well, this is the end.
And yeah, just make sure that it actually works.
Yes, we will wait.
It does work. There we go. See? Da, da, da. And there it is. JavaFX and Griffon working together. Ta-da! All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
So this is what we have for you guys, and
Return to the slide.
we have some giveaways if you want them. There are some Griffon pins, and we have 2 T-shirts for the best 2 questions. They are large. Yes. So-
I want a cool t-shirt.
oh, you want a cool T-shirt? Okay, you got it. Here's another one. Okay.
I do have a comment. When you have an annotation that would automatically do the equals and the hash.
Yes.
So I was thinking that probably the problem was it was not distinguishing an equals whenever you said you had a small bug. So I would want to write that.
Yes, it could be right that the equals was not the right one,
Well,
but it was based on the selection.
if it's a mutable field and you change the field, you're going to run the hash map.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely, we need to check it out. But I think that in this case it was working based on the current selection. And even though we created one, the selection was not really updated. So I think that the bug is that when we create a new element, we don't update the real selection in the model itself. Selected index property in the model was not updated.
So, question. We do a lot of international stuff. In a real application, we have an application of probably 4,000 message lines, right? Most of them, the way the syntax works, it's going to be the same word over and over and over again.
Yes.
And you don't want to keep changing the same word over and over again. Can you use aliasing in the message file so you can reference like a flat one, and so that way it would automatically just use. So they only have to change the word one time instead of having to change it, 37 times for the same word.
Well, you had to change the key. So the keys for each language has to be, yes.
So the key, I mean, what we kind of implemented was a key equals @ sign and another key. And that would do a reference lookup.
Okay. Yes. So the Griffon application, the Griffon uses it's a different type, well, a helper type called message source. And there's a default message source, but you can hook in your custom message source using a custom message source factory. Everything in Griffon that you have seen is highly configurable.
Any other question?
Yes, another question? You can create visual components with this thing? Yes, as a matter of fact, there is one plugin here, which is the Dialogues plugin. There is Dialogues. This guy provides a custom fine dialog like this one. It's all an MVC group, so you can just run it in Griffon. The way that you use it is straightforward. Here's in the documentation. Just call this singleton class and invoke the find or the search or replace on a text component, and this guy will automatically bring the new custom component.
So you can create and then make a plugin and then distribute.
And of course, you can build your own plugins, you can release plugins, you can package plugins, you can do many, many things.
In your local or...
Yep. So hope you guys have enjoyed the talk. And if you have further questions, just search for the guys that have the Griffon t-shirt. Thank you.